Hello guys, how's it going? My name is Dalaran, and in today's video we can finally take a look at the rogue Conduits. Conduits and Soulbinds will be a new system coming into the next expansion, but hopefully it should be a much simpler system of corruptions and azurites and necklaces that we have. It's a lot more of a customizable system that lets you decide how you want to play a character, utilizing Soulbinds into multiple specs or empowering one specs with a variety of powerful choices. And in today's video, we'll be talking about the part that can be changed up, which are the Conduits, which are very similar to old school glyphs that change your class in a variety of ways, from single target to AoE to defenses to utilities. So let's take a look at what Conduits rogues have to play with and show you how they play. So this is the Soulbind system. It's Forge of Bonds. This is early beta, so it could change in UI quite a bit. You earn the Conduits from a variety of content, be it PvP or PvE. It seems that Blizzard decided that they want to do same ways of earning same Conduits through a variety of content. So for PvP, you'll just buy them with like honor points, or maybe certain rare ones at high level with conquest points. And from dungeons, they seem to drop from end of the run Mythic Plus dungeons. Sometimes those are from random drops, and they do seem to be randomized, but maybe specific dungeons drop specific Conduits. And it seems that certain raid bosses will most likely drop Conduits as well. So whether you PvP or PvE, Mythic Plus or raids, it seems that there will be a variety of different choices for you to acquire these Conduits. So there's a variety of them, and I have almost slotted into the Soulbinds. Soulbinds you'll have 3 for each spec. Once you complete the full story of your Covenant, I guess storyline, questline, you'll unlock all 3 Soulbinds, and all 3 of them are going to be different based on your Covenant. So mine is Venthyr, so I'll have Venthyr specific abilities. These guys all come with separate passives that they provide, so you have a variety of these different passives that cannot be changed. And then you have a bunch of different rows where you want to take your setups for Conduits, so I have all of them set up to get as many potency Conduits as possible. So you'll have these slots, which are like glyph slots that are empty, and you can fill them with all the different Conduits. That's basically the small gist of it. Taking a look at have Nadia for the Outlaw rogue, and I have a variety of different Conduits available there. I have Theater set up for Subtlety and General Draven set up for Assassination. However, what I could do is I could make Nadia all about Outlaw and then put Outlaw stuff here for Theater and Outlaw stuff with Draven, and I could maybe make Theater with some Conduits that are more AoE focused and take certain passes that help me survive dungeons. And maybe General Draven, I could go for a lot of Endurance Conduits, which are like defensives and stuff. So I could be tankier and maybe do more PvP with this guy. Or I could simply dedicate one Soulbind per spec, and that's kind of what I did with this video. So that's the cool part about the Conduit stuff, the customization and what you can do with it. Take a look at the Conduits themselves. We'll start with Nadia the Mistblade, and that's my Outlaw rogue Conduit. Some of the Outlaw rogue specific abilities we have are right here. Ambidextry. Main Gouge has, or main, at least I say it as Main Gouge. I know it could be Megouche, Megouche. The Mastery for Outlaw rogue has an additional 10% chance to strike with while Blade Flurry is active. So your Mastery is normally a 30% chance. So when your Blade Flurry is up, it actually increases it to 40. And the fun thing is about this Conduit is you can see the item level for them. They can be upgraded, so you can get it up to maybe 20%. And that could be like the highest version of the Conduit maybe, or maybe Blizzard will expand to higher numbers. Imagine having a 70% chance to gain an extra hit with Mastery, which could be huge. Totally could be used in single target since Blade Flurry has a bit of that single target damage component to it. Another Outlaw rogue Conduit here we have Ambush or Slaughter, with the ability for the Revenger ability, which is Slaughter, and Dispatch. All have a 7% chance to grant you a Roll the Bones combat enhancement buff you do not already have for 7 seconds. So as I ambush the enemy or hit him with Slaughter, I have a chance to gain a random buff of Roll the Bones. I think that Conduit is actually an ability we used to have back in Legion, where we would use finishes like Dispatch and have a chance to gain an extra buff of Roll the Bones, a buff that we already don't have. So some of those Conduits are going to be secondary effects or bonuses that maybe have been reused before, and a 7% chance is a very low chance. But imagine getting a full 5 buff and then getting a 6 buff from run-throughs. I mean, it's quite strong when it does proc. But again, a 7% chance, not crazy, so this one is going to be kind of RNG. Another I have is called Triple Threat. Single Strike has a 20% chance to strike with both weapons after strikes an additional time. So this one has a little bit extra stuff baked into it. Basically, Sinister Strike has a chance, 20% chance, to just go berserk. And it looks like Sinister Strike has a 20% chance after its second strike to strike again with both weapons. And that can proc more of those triple threat strikes. So basically, one Sinister Strike can give you like 5 hits in a row or something. I'm pretty sure this one is bugged and it's not supposed to work the way it does. But sometimes I'll be pressing Sinister Strike and then my character will just go completely berserk with the Sinister Strike. So I want to see if I can kind of get it to work right here. So every time he hits second or time, that's an opportunity for my character to go completely ham. There it goes. I mean, that was just a bunch of hits out of nowhere. And together with the Bandit's Guile, with Deeper Strat, Red Buff, Ledge... I mean, look at this. How many shots was that? Like 6? It makes no sense at all. Outlaw Rogue has been known to be very RNG heavy, but imagine baking this much RNG. What was that just now? That was like 7 or 8 hits or something. I can't wrap my head around it, but that's basically what I've been playing with Outlaw. Sometimes your Sinister Strike will just go completely berserk and just a bunch of hits, give it a 30% damage buff, and there you go. I feel like that one will get nerfed, but that's a pretty cool Conduit. If they keep it as it is, this will be fun. I know it's like very RNG heavy and people hate the RNG, but I've been playing Outlaw with Roll the Bones for so long, I am perfectly okay with some RNG into the spec. Another one we have for Outlaw is called Sleight of Hand. Roll the Bones has a 7% chance to instantly reset its cooldown. I felt like I wouldn't put this one as my main Conduit just because it has a 7% chance, and I am rolling the bones quite a bit, but I decided to go for the Count the Odds to maybe have a chance for an extra buff for 7 seconds. So, yeah, we'll just have to, we'll just, I mean, it's kind of like you can choose which playstyle you want. And each Soulbind will have only 3 potency conduits, so you can choose 3 out of the 4. And I'm pretty sure Blizzard will add more of these potency conduits at a later time as well. Then there's one non-spec specific, I guess I should mention it. Slaughter, damage, and critical strike increased by 12%. Bonus is increased by 12 if Slaughter Poison is active. So, if let's say you already have Slaughter Poison and you re-stealth, it has a way higher crit chance, like 24%, and 24% more damage. So, as a rogue, catching re-stealths with this conduit would actually be quite worth. Whereas Outlaw, you might be like, you know what, I never really have a need to vanish. That big of a hit with Slaughter Poison could be quite huge with other buffs that you may have. So this one could be good for all specs of rogues, especially with how crazy they're going to be on resets. And it seems that every single covenant has a conduit that's specifically there to buff your class, like, covenant ability. So for us, it'll be Slaughter Scars with ability for Slaughter. For other classes, it'll be whatever the rogue ability is, from Bone Spike to the poison that you get with the Fae and the Kyrian Echoing Reprimand ability. Next spec I'm going to show you is a bit of Subtlety, and Subtlety is a fun one. For Subtlety, I decided to go with Theodore the Mad Duke. He has a nice buff here where when I use Slaughter, I gain versatility. I thought to myself, well, it's on a minute long cooldown, and from time to time I can proc it because I can go into Shadowlands and Slaughter, just if I know the cooldown is down. Then for this one, we have as many, again, conduits as we can for damage, for potency. The sub-rogue potency ones we have are Stiletto Staccato. We have Shadow Techniques, now also reduce the main cooldown of your Shadow Blades by 1 second. So Shadow Techniques is going to be the ability for passives where the auto attacks have a chance to generate 1 command point and 8 energy. So those can passively reduce the cooldown of your Shadow Blades quite a bit. Normally, sub-rogue auto attacks, man, they look so slow without Slice and Dice, but normally they generate at a pretty constant rate. But ever since they added Slice and Dice into this expansion, I mean, the amount of auto attacks you're gonna get, why am I missing all those? As a rogue, I mean, it's gonna give you quite a lot of procs of Shadowy Techniques. I wouldn't be surprised if Blizzard put some sort of an internal cooldown on this, so whether you auto attack fast or auto attack slow, it's going to be much, much worse. But the common points you can generate passively as a sub-rogue is quite high. And you could generate them really quickly. Imagine this during Bloodlust, and imagine this with an enhancement showing here, but providing you Wind Fury Totem. I think this could be really, really strong. So getting your Shadow Blades to come back faster, I just made all the sense in the world, since that's going to be quite a good portion of your damage. The next conduit we have for sub is Perforated Veins. Shadow Strike increases the damage of your next backstab by 30%, stacking up to 3 times. This one is actually my favorite in terms of the playstyle options that it gets, and I think this one is also too buffed as well. Let's say we get ourselves full Shadow Strikes in here. 1, 2. A single backstab, however, only removes 1 charge of this ability. So you can kind of hover at the 3 stack for quite a bit. And that seems really, really strong. I mean, my Gloomblade is doing more damage than Shadow Strike because of this buff. And because it disappears only... Wait. It's not disappearing. Wait, whoa, 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 whoa. Now it's even more broken. What happened? It stopped disappearing after Shadow Strikes. Okay, so now it removes stacks. I don't know why it didn't earlier. Yeah, earlier it wasn't removing, yeah, but that's normal. I don't know if that's supposed to consume a stack at once, or if it's supposed to take all those 3 stacks and the next backstep consumes them, or whatnot, but yeah, with that combination, added together with Gloomblade, I feel like it does quite a lot of damage, so I've been enjoying the Gloomblade Shadow Strike wombo combo. And I'm actually, I mean, during Shadow Dance, normally supposed to spam Shadow Strike, but because of this ability, I actually weave Gloomblades in between all my Shadow Strikes. And with the passive of the extra auto attacks from Shadow Technique, generate common points, sometimes Gloomblade will just generate 1 common point, but an auto attack will generate a common point, so it's almost like a pressed Shadow Strike. So in most cases, I can still do my 2 Shadow Strikes into Eviscerate, or a Shadow Strike Gloomblade Eviscerate, and it's never really an issue. So I like this one a lot. I think it's really cool. Another one that I'm getting is Deeper Daggers. Eviscerate and Shadow Vault increase your shadow damage dealt by 30% for 30 seconds. So this actually doesn't give you 30-second duration. It actually gives you like a 4-second duration, I believe. So Eviscerate, yeah, it's like 5 seconds maybe at most. But it increases your shadow damage you deal. And Gloomblade is all shadow damage, so I thought, wow, this is a really cool combo. So you can kind of see like what conduits you can do with these conduits. Gloomblade is all shadow damage, so that seems really strong. You have Shadow Blaze that's all shadow damage. That could be really strong too. Your Eviscerate has a bit of shadow damage to it. Yeah, so Eviscerate, when you hit an enemy flying, because 50% of the damage is going to be increased as shadow damage, so that damage is also going to get buffed. The same thing goes with Shadow Vault, so I think that's the original purpose for this ability with Deeper Daggers, but it works out really well into your Gloomblade playstyle together with Perforated Veins too. Another one that I haven't put into my sub-rogue is Planned Execution. Symbols of Death increases your critical strike chance by 6%. I thought to myself that I probably need more crit for Symbols of Death to give me even better crit, so I can get as close to 100% before I could really get value out of this. So at end game gear, this might be better, especially if I can get this into a higher rank for a Conduit. And another Conduit I have right here, which I guess we could talk about right now. There are certain defensive Conduits that come with rogues as well. You have Recuperator, where Slice and Dice heals you like as if you have Recuperate from back in the day. And it's really, really strong right now. You have Nimble Fingers, where energy cost of fainting Crimson Vow is reduced by 5. Cloak Shadows, entering stealth, cloaks you in shadows, absorbing 2% of your maximum health and damage, reduced by 10% each second outside of stealth. So this can give you quite a big shield when you open up. And we got Finesse, which is kind of like utility stuff. Shadow Step cooldown is reduced, and Grapple and Hook cooldown reduced, which doesn't work right now, but does increase its maximum range, which is nice. Fate to Nothing, getting Stealth, Vanish, or Shroud of Concealment increases movement speed, so that could be good. Prepare for All, dodging attacks reduces the main cooldown of evasion. Successful interrupts and kicks reduces the cooldown of Cloak of Shadows, so that could be really, really good for cooldown reduction. And Rush Setup, energy cost of Kidney Shot, Cheap Shot, Sap, and Distract is reduced by some sort of a number I can't tell. So those are some of the middle ones that you can pick instead of like the potency ones. Potency usually have to deal with you increasing damage. Endurance usually deals with you reducing damage you take, or healing provided, or some sort of defensive benefit. And then Finesse is kind of like utility stuff that you won't be able to use immediately in most cases, but it is a nice like addition. Finally, we have Assassination rogues, and with Assassination, we have quite a bit of conduits from the General Draven tree. With General Draven, I ended up going with Well-Placed Steel. Shift damage is increased by some form of a number on bleeding targets, and extends the duration of your Envenom. So with this one, you basically want to Envenom, then Shiv. I know that Shiv increases the duration of your Envenom, but here you'll kind of want to use Shiv after an Envenom in order to extend it. Normally you would put Shiv as like a Toxic Blade, because that's basically a new Toxic Blade, and then you Envenom for more damage. But this one kind of played backwards a little. This one, yeah, I'm not sure how I feel about it. I think maybe they should change it out so your next Envenom will have a longer duration. Not that when using Shiv, it extends the duration of an active Envenom or something like that. Lethal Poisons increases non-periodic damage of your lethal poison. So with a build together, maybe with, I don't know, Master Poisoner, this could be quite a lot of damage. You do a lot more auto attacks since you have Slice and Dice. Having Envenom when you poisons does allow more applications of your poisons, the active effect. So that could be also really good as well. Another conduit I have for Assassination is Poison Qatar. Fan of Nice damage increased by 8% and has an 8% chance, 8% increased chance to poison the target. Or I guess I kind of read it backwards, but yeah, Fan does more damage and has a higher chance to poison the enemy, which is cool because I think it will work pretty well with Lethal Poison. This one I kind of used in Mythic Pluses to see if Assassination can do maybe any AoE. And while it is a very fun spec to play, the damage is so underwhelming, it makes me think I'm doing something wrong. Even though it's mostly a balance tuning thing, it's still so hard to get over and think like, man, maybe I'm doing something wrong, maybe I should change the talents. I'm hoping that Blizzard does some kind of tuning for Assassination so we can see some actual numbers, because I think the damage spread on the spec right now is really poor. We also got another one called Mangle. I played with this one earlier before I had a reset for these conduits, because you got to reset them to slot new ones in. Garrote increases the damage if you mutilate and targets by 20%. Now I know the talent of Venom Rush isn't that good, but using Venom Rush to get mutilates could maybe be okay. I know Alacrity is miles better, but it just felt pretty good with Venom Rush when I played with it. So that one could be pretty good as well for Assassination, but I actually can't slot it in because I was trying to do some AoE. I decided to reset my Soulbind and Conduits for Poison Catarrh to see how well it did in damage. Safe to say, didn't really do. Is this a Plaguefall that I did? Okay, that's the Plaguefall that I did as Outlaw. And I don't have the other dungeon that I did as Assassination. Okay, otherwise I would show you the damage, but it wasn't impressive by any measure. So, yeah. So now we come to the part that I also feel like you should know about the Conduits and Soulbinds. I had to reset this in order to swap out Maim and Mangle from single target since I was raid testing. I had set it to Poison Catarrh. And let's say we want to change some conduits, right? Let's say you're like, you know what, I did some mythic pluses. I don't really feel like Assassination, but we got raid testing. I really want to swap this out. You actually cannot. So you can add to like empty slots like Cloak and Shadows. Yeah, let's put it right here. Yay. Apply conduits. So you'll have it there. So if you want to change your character and go maybe for superior tactics with interrupt increasing your critical strike chance, you totally could alter your Assassination. So now you lose out that lethal poison and hold your ground ability. But now you get superior tactics. So you could get some of those benefits here. Like this one could be pretty good with the agility. And you would just have to go with the finesse conduit since that's the conduit that's there. Let's say you want to do the most amount of damage. You're trying to go for as many potency conduits. But swapping them is kind of difficult. As you can see, Maim, you can't really do anything. You can't put them in. And there's this button down below here that lets you switch. But it's available once a week. So you know how you have your Azerite traits and you put them into the ethereal vendors? You slot them in, you pay a bit of gold, or if you do this a lot, you pay a lot of gold. But it lets you like reset your traits, and you can figure out like, oh man, I picked the wrong trait, or my sim says this other trait was actually be a bit of an upgrade for me. You actually can't reset them unless once a week. So originally I had my character with Maim for single target raid boss test, and I was like, you know what, for dungeons, I'll reset it. So I swapped it out, and now I'm actually kind of stuck with the reset conduit. Now, every one of these boards can be reset separately. So let's say I really wanted to play Assassination, I would basically have to sacrifice one of my already set specs for Outlaw or Sub if I wanted to make a full single target build to test more for Assassination. And I really wouldn't want to do that. There's not a lot of options. I guess it depends how you play your class. So if you play one spec, like if you were just Assassination main, you could use all these boards to mess around and try different builds any way you want to. If I was an Outlaw main, which I am, I could use all these boards to try all these things for Outlaw only. But if you're someone who wants to play multiple specs or check them out or even test, well, maybe experiment, you know, put in certain conduits, find out they're bad, you're like, okay, I want to swap around. You're kind of locked out from swapping them once every 7 days. I think it's also something that speaks maybe to Blizzard and the way they made these conduits. Certain conduits seem to be more AoE focused, some seem single target focused, and some don't seem to have any focus and can be used everywhere. So if you're stuck with a spec that has specific conduits for very specific situations, you're kind of screwed if you're trying to swap around. So I think the Conduit and Soulbind system is actually quite customizable. The things you can do with all these bonuses, all these extra effects, the conduits themselves, and how you can basically dedicate all three to one spec can give you so much variety. But not everybody's going to be playing like me, dedicating everything to one spec. I'm a huge fan of Outlaw, and I'll try to do everything I can to play it in PvP. I'll try to do everything to play it in raids, in Mythic Pluses, because I really like the spec. I think it's super fun. It's very enjoyable. The truth is, most players just want to play the best spec for every situation. That's just how it is. The meta has been made. And some players will want to play maybe Assassination for 100% in raids, and they want to be able to have the best build for Assass. And in Mythic Plus, they will want to hop into Outlaw and Cleave. In PvP, they will go to Subtlety because, you know, that's what everybody says is the best spec. And as much as I try to get people to kind of break out of that mold, it's not something you're going to be able to fix over in a week. So let's say somebody wants to play the best spec available at a time. well, or maybe you want to be one of those people that wants to experiment with different builds and try new things. The Conduit system has a lot of customization, but this once a week reset thing is kind of what stops it. If you could reset it as much as you want to, and maybe let's say you had to pay a certain amount of anima, you know, you have to farm anima out in the open world, do some extra world quests, so you can have store up some anima so you can swap this around regularly, maybe use gold or whatever other currency there is in order to get this resets. I think that would be maybe a better system. If Blizzard does not really want players to constantly switch this around, but I think players would try to switch this around at all times if given the opportunity. But without giving players the opportunity, now my character is kind of stuck with an AoE setup for conduits, and I can't even maybe change these like hold your ground. Maybe this could be really good for PvP. Enduring Gloom, maybe that could be good in PvP. I can't go and change it to like an Outlaw build or anything now. I can't try this for PvP as Outlaw anymore because it's just stuck like this for a week. Another thing Blizzard can do, I think would be really cool, if they do want to keep this like reset conduits thing, at least let me, when let's say I'm switching to Outlaw, and I have a bunch of Soulbind set up already, if I switch to Assassination, reset it. Refresh everything for me. So let's say if I like Nadia and I think, man, that's like really good for dungeons and mythic pluses and raids. The Thrill Seeker is a really good ability for boss fights. It's probably the best. Let's say I am an Outlaw, I can put on all my Outlaw conduits. But if I change spec to Subtlety, for Nadia, the board should clear, and I should be able to pick whatever Soulbinds I want for Subtlety by itself. So I could have like a Subtlety build for AoE, for PvP, and Mythic Pluses. Then I swap to Outlaw, I can have an Outlaw raiding, PvP, Mythic Pluses. And then I go to Assassination, I can have a PvP, PvE, Mythic Pluses build or whatever. So you can utilize these boards and these conduits in a variety of ways, and at least it would give you so many more options that the idea of resetting them once every 7 days wouldn't be that big of an issue, because unless you're someone who just keeps making a mistake and putting the wrong conduit in or something, it's going to be very unlikely that someone's going to have so many resets over and over and over, since you'll have a lot more customization and a lot more freedom. But yeah, that's going to be my 2 cents on how this system could work. I do like it, and I like that Blizzard is trying new things. I know it's another system that we're getting in this expansion, but I really like this one because it's very similar to Glyphs. And I think it's like probably the best way to approach it. It's not exactly like Glyphs, but they work very, very similar to Glyphs. I just think this should have a little bit more customization, kind of like how Glyphs, you could swap them out anytime you want to. I think that'd be so much better. And I think Blizzard has done a very good job with the Soulbinds and Conduits, and I think the Rogue Conduits in particular are pretty good. We have really cool abilities. I love the ones for Outlaw. I love the ones for Sub. I just think maybe they should rework some of the Assassination ones so they're not AoE focused or single target focused or anything like that. But also should do something about the customization per spec basis with the Forge of Bonds and Soulbinds and Conduit system, or maybe remove the requirement of once every 7 days type of reset for it, because I think the once every 7 days reset might be a little bit too much. Anyway, thank you guys so much for checking out this video. I really do hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys let me know in the comments below what do you think about the Rogue Conduit so far, and a little bit about this Conduit system. Again, Blizzard has done some really good stuff with it in recent time. They've really adjusted it so it's a better system than it was when they originally unveiled it, and a lot more updates have gotten to it, but I feel like there's still more updates that should be added, because I really would love it to be a system where you can have some interplay with it. You can try new things, you can try different things. You don't have to like just be locked out for a whole week. I think that's maybe a bit too punishing. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below on rogues and conduits, and I'll see all of you guys in another video.